We were discussing 80, no, 97, correct? 98, we must. 98 today. 98. All right. विशुद्धिचक्रनिलया रक्तवर्णा त्रिलोचना खट्वाङ्गादिप्रहरणा वदनैकसमन्विता. I'm just thinking of sharing the tab of those chakras with you. Just go through that. So over here, as you can see, there is a book called as the Shat Chakra Nirupana Tantram. Shat Chakra Nirupanam, one of the most fundamental pioneering books which talks in great detail about the chakras in themselves. So these are the chakras present at the body. Are you able to see the screen with the chakras?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So at the base, uh, the root where we sit, that is called the Mula Adhara, because quite literally it is where we are sitting on. It is supporting the entire body, the entire system. So Mula means the root, Adhara means a support, the root support. That is the basal chakra called the Mooladhara. And second, at the so the diagram is quite wrong, but at the genitals, at where the reproductive organs are, is the second chakra, which is called as the Swadhisthana. We will explain all of these in great detail. And then the third from the bottom is called Manipura. Fourth is called Anahata at the heart. Fifth at the throat is called the Vishuddhi. And sixth at the between the brows is called the Ajna, and finally above the head is called Sahasrara. So this is the depiction of the Shat Chakras. The Sahasranama says all the different chakras and where she actually resides and in what form. She of course occupies the entirety of the body and all crevices and nooks of the body she is filling it with. But especially so, she is present in the Sushumna, which is the middle path, the middle nadi, which connects the seven chakras like a lotus petal. It strings through all these seven lotuses, and that nadi is called as the Sushumna. The Sahasranama has already previously described about how she breaks the Brahma Granthi present at the red chakra, the Mooladhara, and then the reddish orange chakra, which is the Manipura, which is called the Vishnu Granthi. Finally, at the head, between the eyebrows, there is the Rudra Granthi. She destroys these knots and releases any obstruction to the flow of Kundalini energy rising from the bottom till the Sahasrara. Now, like a plumber, she has now cleaned up the entire system. Let us see what a yogi actually experiences, a yogi or a yogini, what he or she experiences when the energies move from uh, the bottom up. First, it starts off talking actually from the Vishuddhi downwards, that is from the throat downwards. These five chakras are first described. Vishuddhi chakra nilaya, when she resides in the Vishuddhi chakra, Araktavarna, the chakra may itself be of a blue color or an indigo color, but she is Araktavarna, completely red, top to bottom. Please mute yourselves. Okay. So she is from the tip to the toe completely in Araktavarna, completely red in her color, and Trilochana, she has three eyes. Khatwangadi Praharana. She has, weapons which are called as clubs, Khatwanga or clubs. Khatwa Anga Adi. There are other weapons too which which she wields, and one of them is the club, the mace. Vadanaika Samanvita. She has only one face when she resides at the Vishuddhi Chakra. And what else? Payasanna Priya. She is very fond of eating payasanna. And payasanna is a very simple dish that we are all very familiar with. The dish which is made from milk, sugar, some rice, and some other dal. That together is called payasanna. She loves having that dish when she is dominant in the energy at the Vishuddhi Chakra. And then Payasanna Priya Twakstha. When she resides at the Vishuddhi Chakra, when the energies are glowing at the Vishuddhi Chakra, she becomes the empress who controls or who rules over the Twak. Twak means charma, which is skin. She controls the entire functions and metabolism of the skin. In fact, a very interesting correlation is people who have thyroid problems, usually the symptoms of it come on the skin. Thyroid problems or thymus problems and so on. Parathyroidism, and iodine deficiency, and all of such uh, disorders which come at the throat because of the organs, the endocrine glands which are present at the throat, are usually very symptomatic at the skin level. And that is also very nice, interesting correlation. One other thing is the Vishuddhi chakra, the indigo chakra at the throat, is in charge of the element called Akasha. And Akasha, just like the skin, the Akasha envelops the entire cosmos, the entire world. Similarly, what envelops us? It is the charma, it is the skin, twak. In fact, there are so many studies which talk about the interesting correlations between this Kundalini Yoga, Ayurveda, then astrology, Vaidika Jyotishyam, and of course philosophy too, which connects it to yoga and Vedanta. So all of these are very interesting fields of study. If any of you are interested or would like to read more about it, I shall share some resources. I've already shared some resources on the group. Please go through those as well. Just it's mind-boggling how the deeper we study layer by layer, we find so many correlations, and it makes us think, did they actually know all of this, which is why they may have associated the throat chakra with the skin, with the space, and so on. And another interesting fact here is that from the akasha, that is from the space, the ruling element, which when it is space, it is connected to the ears. Dishaha Shrotrat, the space emerged from the ears of the Purusha, so says the Purusha Suktam. And we always find this very interesting correlation. The Akasha is also the Tanmatra for the ears. The Shrotra is for the Dik. And of course, I don't even have to mention that ENT, the ENT doctors, definitely make a very strong case how the ears, the eardrums, and the audio, what is it called, the oral or audio chamber, which is connected to the throat, is also connected by the same nerve to the back of the brain also. So the nose, ears, and the throat, ENT, are all interconnected, and that is ruled by the throat chakra, the Vishuddhi. And continuing, the description also says, Twakstha Pashuloka Bhayankari. She causes fear, bhaya, in the Pashuloka. She brings fear into the world of the animals. Interestingly, Shiva, when he's depicted with the black throat, the blue throat, and with a blue snake around him, is again a very strong metaphor, a very significant metaphor for indicating that his in that aspect of Shiva, the throat is very predominant. The Vishuddhi is being activated. And for those whose energies are active at the Vishuddhi chakra, they face fears, all kinds of fears, all kinds of phobias they are made to face forcefully. So suddenly, when a person's energy is at the throat level, that is why we call Shiva also as Pashupati Natha. He controls all the Pashus, he controls all the Pishachas, he controls all the Bhutas. So at that level, it is an invitation for all the spirits, ghosts, pretas, bhutas, and so on, and the Pashus themselves also around. Uh, it's an invitation for them. It's like a signal. A lighthouse is beaming and it is directing all the different creatures around it to migrate towards itself. That is why the snake also wraps around his neck. And we have also seen many yogis report of the same. When their energies are at the Vishuddhi, they find occultic, they report occultic incidences where they see some moving ghosts or some sounds, nightmares, some haunted beings, some disembodied beings come and they serve him, etc. So all of this causes fear, Pashuloka Bhayankari. And there the challenge for this yogi is to overcome all such paranormal fears. Not just material fears, but also paranormal fears. And Amritadi Mahashakti Samvrata, she is surrounded, this main deity, who is called Dakinishwari, she is surrounded by other lesser deities called the Amrita Adi Mahashakti. And she comes with her own entourage, and those the leader of that entourage is called Amrita, her right hand woman. And then, excuse me, coming down from that chakra is the Anahata. Anahata is the heart chakra. The heart chakra is ruled by Vayu. It's ruled by Vayu. So first was Akasha, second is Vayu. आकाशाद् वायुः वायोरग्निः अग्नेरापः अद्भ्यः पृथिवी पृथिव्या ओषधयः ओषधीभ्योऽन्नम् अन्नात् पुरुषः and so on describes the Brahmananda Valli of the Taittiriya Upanishad. How it says, from Akasha came the Vayu, from Vayu came the Agni, Agni came the Apas water, and from water came the earth, and from earth came the plants and cultivation from which was born the Purusha. So we actually see how it all makes sense because the energy descends from Akasha to Vayu, which is Anahata, further down to Agni, which is Manipura, further down to Swadhisthana, which is water, and then down to Mooladhara, which is the most basal element, most solid element, grounded element, which is earth. Anyhow, coming back, so Anahata is ruled by Vayu. Vayu is in charge of all movements, correct? So we say ships move because of the wind. Otherwise, it wouldn't move. Even the waves themselves are created because of the wind. Sand dunes, tornadoes, hurricanes, even monsoons. Why go so extreme? Even simple rain and monsoons are created only by winds, by the currents of wind pattern of the earth. So everything in this biosphere is pushed or pulled by winds. That essentially is the tattva, the governing tattva at the anahata, where we also have incidentally the heart and the lungs and the stomach. So the three things, what? Blood, air, and food. Blood, air, and food. These three are conveyed and caused like a motor to pump the stuff out or in at the anahata. Therefore, Vayu, the governing element, causes kinetic energy. It is the center for kinetic energy. It causes all movement in the body, respectively through the heart, the lungs, as well as the stomach. Stomach, in a sense, the churning motion of the stomach, not the actual intestines. All right, so here let's look at what the Lalita Sahasranama is saying. She appears as. Anahatabja Nilaya Shyamabha Vadanadvaya. Now in the Vishuddhi she had one face, Vadanaika Samanvita. Here she has Vadanadvaya. She has two faces. Anahatabja Nilaya. When she sits at the Anahata Padma, she is black in color. Shyamabha. She is completely dark, like Krishna or Kali. She has two faces. Damshtra Ujjwala. She has two protruding canines. And Akshamaladi Dhara Rudhira Samsthita. She sits in Rudhira. Rudhira means blood. Do you now see the correlation? She is sitting in blood because the blood is ruled by the heart. It's pumped out by the heart. And the heart is the Anahata Chakra verily. Then she is Akshamaladi Dhara. She does not hold any weapons. She was only holding Akshamalas. She's holding the counting beads. And even the counting beads is very representative of the motion of the heart, a cyclical motion of the heart. It comes from the left atrium, goes into the left ventricle, and then to the lungs, comes back into the auricles, ventricles, and so on. So it's a cyclical motion, which is also represented by the Akshamala. Then Kalaratriadi Shaktyogha Vrita, and she is surrounded by demi deities who are the Kalaratri and other such deities. Snigdha Odana Priya. She loves Nevedya of Snigdha Odana. Snigdha Odana is a fatty rice cake. So you can somehow think of, at least in Kannada, we make this, in Kannada traditions, we have this dish called Tuppadanna. We just mix ghee, some oil, salt with and we give a seasoning with the rice. So that is called snigdhodana, which is also good for the heart, right? Even for the stomach, it cools the stomach down. That is also why she loves the snigdhodana when she sits at the anahata. Mahavirendra Varada. She gives Varada. She gives blessings to Mahavirendra. For those who are immensely capable and valorant. It is not, she is not the proper deity, she is not the right appropriate deity for cowards. She is not the right deity for meek, weak people, because she is of course surrounded by Kalaratri herself as her servant. Just imagine. So she is also Shyama, and she has two protruding canines, Damshtro Jwala, but she is not violent. She has Akshamala in her hands, though she will only give her blessings to those who are very courageous, highly driven by bravery and adventure. Mahavirendra Varada Rakinyamba Swarupini. So even we say it takes guts, right? So gut is also the stomach. It takes guts, we say, and he has a heart of stone. We say he can, uh, he keeps abreast of all turmoils and troubles and so on. So all these metaphors are intricately linked to the anahata. And we also feel his heart seized in fear, right? The heart doesn't ever cease in fear, but we still use that metaphor. Why? Because the heart, the anahata, is ruled by who? Shyama. She's ruled by Shyama, who is a very terrifying deity, and she, only those who are able to go through life in an adventurous manner, who has this philosophy of accepting challenges and struggles of life as though they are just adventures, Mahavirendra, to them she gives blessings. So what was the challenge at the Vishuddhi? Can anybody tell? What was the obstruction at Vishuddhi? What was the challenge there?
Fear.
Exactly, very right. So it was fear, and here it is about adventure. Mahavirendra Varada. It's about adventure. It's about accepting life like an adventure, approaching life like an adventure. Rakinyamba Swarupini. She takes on the form, she sits in the form of this Shama, who is called as Rakini. There she was called Dakini. Here she is called Rakini. Going down, after the Vayu, we come to Agni. which is Manipura. The actual location of this chakra, it is said to be at the solar plexus, means just a little above the navel. Hokru. Just above the navel is this chakra. It's ruled by fire, the element of fire. It is responsible for digestion, assimilation, the samana vayu. It is called the samana vayu, where digestion happens, and it is carried around the body. And we also say Vaishvanaragni, Jatharagni. All of that is at this position of called the Manipura. And the Lalita Sahasranama says Manipurabja Nilaya Vadana Traya Samyuta. There, first Vishuddhi had one face, Anahata two face. Here she has three faces. Vadana Traya Samyuta. Vajradikayudho She holds the Vajra Ayudha, the lightning bolt, as her Ayudha. Damari Adibhiravrita. She is surrounded by particular Devis called as the Damari Devis. Raktavarna. She is also now red in color. Mamsa Nishtha. She makes her dwelling in Mamsa. Mm, where was the dwelling of Vishuddhi, of the Devi at the Vishuddhi? It was in Twakstha. She sat in skin, and the Anahata Devi, she sat in blood. And here she sits in the mamsa, the meat, the actual muscles, and the composition of the body, which is mamsa. She sits there. She makes those places her dwelling. Why? Because those are also very nourished by the food which is getting digested at the Manipura. And muscles and meat is what gives us strength to do things in life, to achieve our goals, ambition. We say this man is full of hunger in corporate jargon, right? So what does hunger there represent? It represents ambition, the desire to achieve things, to struggle, to hustle, and achieve something big in life. So all this place of ambition and the ambit of digestion is the Manipura. Gudanna Prita Manasa. She can be pleased by offering Gudanna. Gudanna is jaggery rice, a very sweet dish made by dissolving jaggery in some coconut. And I mean, I don't even have to explain all of this. All of you may already be aware, and you may be cooking for your families too. This is a very popular dish, very sweet tasting, very beautiful too. Gudanna Prita Manasa. Samasta Bhakta Sukhada. At here, she gives her blessing, Sukhada, to people who are bhaktas. So there, she gave blessings to people who are adventurous. And at Vishuddhi, she gave blessings to people who overcame their fears. And here she gives blessings to people who are devoted, bhakta. Here doesn't it literally mean just going and singing bhajans. Bhakta means to be dedicated, to be devoted completely, to be completely committed to a certain thing. That is why all ambitions are achieved only through commitments, right? Through struggles of ups and downs. Yet you keep choosing the same goal repeatedly. So that is the very nature of a bhakta, to keep choosing the beloved repeatedly, despite ups and downs, despite any hurdles. Samasta bhakta sukhada. So the test here is of commitment. Is he committed or not? Just because he has hunger or ambition doesn't, then she is not pleased by it. She tests if you actually are committed. Bhakta sukhada. Lakini amba swarupini. She is of the form of the mother goddess called Lakini. Dakini, Rakini, Lakini. Then moving down further is uh, the chakra of water, Swadhisthana. Let's look at the verses. Swadhishthanam Bhujagata Chaturvaktra Manohara. She has four faces. The previous one had three, now four. Swadhisthana is the chakra where the genitals, the urinary bladder, the penis, or the yoni is present, respectively. There, Chaturvaktra Manohara, she is very beautiful with four faces. Shuladhyayudha Sampanna. She holds a spear in her hands. Pita Varna Ati Garvita. She is Pita Varna. She is completely orange or yellow in her color. And incidentally, this is also the very chakra where Vishnu is the governing deity. And Vishnu, we all have heard, he is Pitambaradhari. He always wears yellow or golden yellow garments. Pita Varna. And he also sleeps on the ocean of milk and water. Again, Swadhisthana. Ati Garvita, she is this Devi here is very haughty, very arrogant. Ati Garvita, Medo Nishtha, she sits where she makes all the fat of the body her dwelling place. Medo Nishtha. Madhuprita, she loves honey. Bandini Adi Samanvita, she is surrounded by a troop of Bandinis. Dadhyanna Sakta Hridaya, she is pleased by giving Dadhyanna, curd rice to her. Kakini Rupadharini, she is known by the name Kakini at that point. So, in fact, curd rice is a very special dish prepared in most Vaishnavite temples. In fact, also sometimes at Devi temples, but more so at Vishnu temples, the Dhyana. And why is it related and linked to Medas? Medas means fat. So, Swadhisthana is the place where the genitals, the gonads are, and the hormones which they release actually control the amount of fat in our body. It's so interesting. Just look at this. The amount of testosterone, if it increases in our body, in fact, both males and females both have testosterone, and both of them also have estrogen. So, if when the testosterone increases, the fat decreases, and when estrogen increases, the fat increases. So both these hormones control the metabolism of fat. Just look how interesting it is. Medo Nishtha, therefore she resides and controls the domain of fat in the body. Madhu Prita, she is pleased by honey. And we also say Vishnu has honey like eyes and honey like hairs. He has curly hairs and they represent these honeybees. And also, madhu is the substance which is extracted from the reproductive organs of the plants, which are flowers basically, is it not? So, the nectar, which is in some way the sexual fluids which are emitted from the flower, from the plant, they are connected as madhu, which is also very, I won't say causational, but definitely coincidental with it being the object of pleasure for the Devi at Swadhisthana. And Bandinyadi Samanvita, she is surrounded by the Bandini Devis. Dadhyanna Sakta and Dadhi also again is white in color, the color of the fluids there. And it is also the substance which cools the body, therefore acting like the apas, like water. Dadhyanna Sakta Hridaya. Kakini Rupadharini, which is why we also consume dadhi, curd, towards the end of a meal because rasam, sambar, saru, and all it increases the heat in the body, which is why it is pleasing to the Manipura chakra. It causes burning sensation at the stomach, in the intestines. But once we finish it off with a good buttermilk or curd, then all that energy is shantified and sent to the Swadhisthana chakra. The energy recedes back into the Swadhisthana. Dadhyanna Sakta Hridaya Kakini Rupadharini. Are you all able to appreciate how intricately linked these are?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mooladharambujarudha Panchavaktrasthi Samsthita. Now, there were four faces at Swadhisthana. Now, there are five faces for this Devi. When she sits at the Mooladhara, she sits in the Mooladhara petal, the last petal, which is the red petal, the red lotus, four petaled lotus. Panchavaktra Asthi Samsthita. She sits in Asthi. Asthi is skeleton. Asthi is skeleton because that is itself the Moola Adhara. It is giving the framework for the entire body. Quite literally, it is the Adhara. The support system of the entire body is itself the skeletal system. So she resides and presides over the Asthi skeletal system. Ankushadi Praharana. She wields the Ankusha, the goad. And can any of you tell me which other very common popular deity wields the Ankusha? We have seen this image. Absolutely, 100%. And Ganesha is also once again the guardian deity, the male guardian deity of the Mooladhara Chakra at the bottom. And Ankusha is the weapon that he always holds, the goad. Just as you would control an elephant with a goad, a small pointed needle is enough to control such a huge, uh, big animal, right? Massive animal. And which means even a big animal like an elephant, a massive mammal like an elephant, has some weak spots, using and knowing which we can bring it under our tame and control. Ankushadi Prahna. Similarly, she also knows our weak spots and she can just poke and pinch at those very spots, and we will, it's like triggering us, and we will go into a fury. Ankushadi Praharana, Varadadi Nishevita. She is surrounded by Devis called as Varada. Mudgaudana Sakta Chitta. Once again, I just forgot to mention here that at Swadhisthana, what is the challenge? The challenge at Swadhisthana is because she's Ati Garvita, the challenge here is pride. It is the pride which one must overcome to have our energies uh, reach this point of Swadhisthana. Here, Mudgaudana Sakta Chitta Sakinyamba Swarupini. She is called as the Devi called Sakini at that Mooladhara position, and she loves Mudga Odana. Mudga Odana is dal rice, any dal, especially moong dal. Just as you make kosamri, in Kannada we say kosamri, the salads which you make from soaked dals, that is called mudgaudana, and when you mix it with rice it becomes mudgaudana. Asakta chitta sakinyamba swarupini. And here, though they have not specifically mentioned what the challenge here is, it is understood that because the energy is residing or the starting point itself is at Mooladhara, it is assumed there are no challenges at this point because it is the initial chakra. This is the home of the Kundalini. So by default, everybody has their energies already at Mooladhara, which is why we are all functioning as living organisms, looking after our survival, sleep, reproduction, and uh, basic survival. All of that is governed at the Mooladhara, and that is why Ganesha is in fact the most popular deity across Hinduism itself. The first thing that all of us must take care of is our physiological and physical needs and well-being, which is guarded and bestowed by Ganesha. And in this case, she is called Sakini. And then after describing these five chakras, which are the elemental chakras, space, wind, water, sorry, fire, water, and earth, earthly element, which is basically the basal instincts. After these five, it goes on to describe the Ajna chakra, that is the chakra which governs the mind, which has dominion over the mind. Ajna Chakrabja Nilaya, Shukla Varna Shadanana. She is six-faced at the Ajna Chakra between the eyebrows. When she sits there, Shukla Varna, she is completely white in color, which is why many yogis report seeing a white light between their eyebrows at the forehead. So that is an indication that this Devi has been activated. She has been awakened. Shukla Varana Shadanana. She has six face at the Ajna Chakra. Incidentally, it is also the sixth chakra from the bottom. She is Shadanana. Majja Samstha Hamsavati Mukhya Shakti Samanvita. Majja Samstha, she sits in the bone marrow. She governs the bone marrow, which is the site of production of all cells. So there are the glial cells, also called nerve cells, and then there are white blood cells, then T lymphocytes, B lymphocytes, and then there are red blood cells which are manufactured there. So the majja is the place of manufacturing the marrow, where all different kinds of stem cells of the body are created. That is also incidentally somehow the function of the mind, because the mind is ever at rejuvenation. It's the center of creation for all thoughts, all kinds of thoughts. And at the Ajna chakra, which is also the site of the pituitary and the pineal gland, which are called as the master glands, the master endocrine glands, like the remote, they control every other gland also. So the Ajna chakra, quite true to its name, gives Ajna commands to the other five chakras. Just as a bone marrow would supply its content, by manufacturing and commanding the cells to other organs, the Ajna so does it. Hamsavati Mukhya Shakti Samanvita. She is surrounded by the Devis called as Hamsavati. And Hamsavati is actually a metaphor here, because Hamsa is the mantra that the Vedantists use for meditation on the Ajna Chakra. Hamsas Soham, Soham Hamsas, Hamsas Soham, Soham Hamsa. It is a continuous understanding of the union of Brahma Atmaikya Swarupini. Brahma, that is Saha, that, and Aham, Ham Saha, I am that. So that is called the Hamsa mantra or the Hamsa Gayatri mantra. And she is surrounded by such devis. Haridra Anna Ekarasika. She loves eating the Haridra Anna. Haridra Anna is a spicy dish prepared by putting turmeric, mustard, and rice. It's a masala mixed rice. Haridranna ekarasika, like chitranna. We say chitranna or puliogre, whatever. So some masala mixed with rice, which is yellow in color. Haridranna ekarasika. Very uh, antioxidant properties it has. Haridranna ekarasika. Hakini Rupa Dharini. That Devi is called as Hakini. And so that was the Ajna Chakra at the forehead. When the energies have risen further up, okay, by the way, the challenge at the Ajna Chakra is Hamsavati, that is decoded through the word Hamsavati. So the challenge there is of identity. Hamsaha means it's of discriminating between what I am and what I am not. Just as a hamsa, a swan, discriminates between milk and water, and it accepts only that which is milk. Similarly, the question here is of the identity crisis that any soul goes through is being tested at the Ajna Chakra. Who truly am I? So, this very fundamental question one must overcome and answer it to oneself satisfactorily. So, that is the challenge at the Ajna Chakra. uh, if one has solved such a great fundamental existential crisis, then the energy is said to have risen up to the Sahasradala, the Sahasrara chakra, the topmost chakra, which doesn't even touch the body. It's above the forehead, thus indicating its transcendence over all material and metaphysical as well as supernatural elements. There at the Sahasradala Padmastha, Sarva Varna Upashobhita, she is beautified and adorned by Sarva Varna, by all kinds of colors, not just red or blue or anything. She is like the rainbow, the collection, sum total of all colors, which is why the color there can sometimes appear similar to the Ajna as Shukla, as white color. Just as if you combine all the seven colors of the rainbow, if you spin that wheel, the Newton's disk as it is called, very quickly, it becomes white light. And similarly, when you pass a white light through a prism, you actually see that it has the seven colors in it. Similarly, because it is an entire collection of all colors, depending on the way the soul sees this chakra, it either perceives it as being all light, all white, or in different colors. Sarva Varna Upashobhita, Sarvayudha, she holds in all her arms all kinds of weapons. Shukla Samsthita, she governs the uh, creative cells in the body. Shukla, it not just refers to semen, the literal meaning is semen, Shukla. It also represents the eggs which are produced in the fallopian by the ovary glands. But in a wider context, Shukla here represents her governance over complete creative power of the body. Because as she rises to the Sahasradala Padma, she becomes God itself, she becomes the creator itself. So all creative functions of the body are now under her control. Shukla Samsthita, Sarvatomukhi. She doesn't have just one face, she is Sarvatomukhi. She looks in all directions possible. Sarvaudana Prita Chitta, and she can be pleased by Sarvaudana. You just mix any all ingredients together with rice, and that itself is her favorite. Sarvaudana Prita Chitta. And such a Devi is called Yakini, Yakinyamba Swarupini, Swaha Swadha Matir Medha Shruti Smritiranutama. And there, when she rises to the level of Sahasradhara Padma, she becomes Swaha. She becomes the deity responsible for conveying the Havis to the Devatas, which is called Swaha Devi. Swadha is the Devi who is responsible for conveying the ablutions of the Pitrus to the Pitrus. Amatihi, she is beyond thought, beyond mati, beyond the manas, but she also represents the creative power of the manas, which is called Medha. She is Shrutihi, she is all the divine intuition which comes to the rishis, and she is the Smritihi, she is all the divine proclamations and uh, stories, itihasas, Puranas, which are told to the various authors. Anuttama, and she is beyond parallel, beyond comparison, and even above the ideas of Uttama and Anuttama, of right and wrong, of good and bad. And Anuttama literally means the person above whom there is no one else. Anuttama, there is no other superior to this Devi at this position occupying the Sahasradala Padmastha. So these were the seven chakra descriptions as we find in the Lalita Sahasranama. Any questions so far?
It's mind-boggling.
Truly.
Gone so fast, I would like to take notes. I think I'll go through again. So beautifully correlated.
Thank you. Yes, very true. I mean, I think all of us should be at awe, and we are rightfully so should be in awe at how the rishis who didn't even use any, I mean, at least we don't know of them using any laboratories or any such instruments, yet they were able to unravel so many deep mysteries of life and correlate them with the universe around them. So they say, Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande, as is in the microcosm, so it is in the macrocosm also. So truly, ma'am, like you are also in awe. I too am also so awestruck by how deep the knowledge of the rishis have been.
So we have to catch up with all this.
100%.
Still at the
In fact, like I said, Ayurveda, there is also an entire segment of Ayurveda which overlaps with Kundalini, and some very rare doctors who are experts in both of these, can instantly figure out if a person has an ailment and they link it to certain chakra, um, deficiencies or at the chakras, or some disorder created at the chakras. So for example, if a person has constipation or digestive problems, they say there is some mishap at the Mooladhara, and therefore whatever the tattva of Mooladhara is, such remedies are therefore suggested and prescribed. Similarly, if a person has, like I said, some problems of the skin, then they come to know that there is some problem at the Vishuddhi chakra. And in fact, many cancers, many people who suffer throat cancers, uh, often also suffer leukemia, skin cancer. They are more prone to skin cancers. Again, one other data point to support how the skin is connected to the Vishuddhi chakra. Mm. And so on and so forth. Correct. So there is a lot to unravel. Even the Navagrahas themselves are aligned through the chakras. So the Mooladhara is governed by um, Shani. Mooladhara is governed by Shani, which means the farthest planet, which is concerning basic survival. That is Shani. The Swadhisthana, the water chakra, is governed by Shukra, Venus, who is also responsible for reproduction, luxuries of life, sexual energy. The partner, the spouse, is also indicated by the Shukra, the Venus Graha, which occupies the Swadhisthana. And then the Manipura is the fire chakra, who is associated with Angaraka, with Mars. Mars is also a red planet. He also is the planet for ambition, for conquering things, for waging wars. We say competition, we have to beat the competition. And this is a dog eat dog world. So all of these metaphors come verily because the energies there are at the Manipura, which govern ambition. So that is Mars. And then at Anahata, which is at the heart, is governed by Jupiter, Guru. So the Guru controls the Vayu Tattva. And Jupiter is also incidentally the biggest gas giant. He is the largest gas giant of the solar system is the Guru, and lot of gas in him. So the Guru Graha also functions this way of expansion, just as air or any gas expands, it tries to occupy as much space as possible. And Guru also uh, is the quite literally the preceptor, the teacher of the other grahas. So they listen to him, though they may not listen to him with as fervor and fear as they would listen to Surya, but still Guru, the Jupiter, is, you can think of it as being the minister or the second in command. That is also the place where heart is, correct? So it is also the second place of command. First is the brain and second is the heart. That is Guru. And then at the Vishuddhi is Buddha, who is responsible for speech, language. Again, Vishuddhi is responsible for speech and language, and also for fear. Buddha in a if the Buddha in a person's chart is weakly placed, this person becomes an introvert, very shy person, very fearful, keeping things to himself, not expressive, easily frightened by calamities around the world and so on, very sensitive and so on. So all of that again, once again, connects the Vishuddhi to Buddha. And then at the Ajna, of course, is the Chandra. Actually, there's a difference of opinion. It can be either Chandra or Surya. Some people say it is Chandra because it connects with the mind. The Ajna Chakra is ruled by the mind, as is the moon. Moon also represents the mind, and the phases of the moon determine the phases, not determine, but at least they correlate with the phases of the mind. And then finally, at the Sahasrara is like the sun, who has thousands of rays all around, scattering in all directions, like the sun, which produces all kinds of rays, gamma rays, X rays, visible rays, microwaves, radio waves, and all of that. So Sarva Varna Upashobhita. And the sun, of course, has all colors in itself. That is the Sahasradala Padma. So similarly, these seven grahas are also linked to the seven chakras of the body. Of course, Rahu and Ketu are called the Chaya Graha, the shadow planets. They don't have any particular place as such. Mm, this again is also linked to the Sapta Dhatu. And what we just discussed are the Sapta Dhatus themselves. Rakta, Majja, Asthi, mm, then what else? Shukla, Medaha, and Mamsa. These are the Sapta Dhatus, the seven organs of our body, seven constituents, seven ingredients present in our body, which are also there in Ayurveda. Okay, any more questions? If not, we shall continue with the other set of verses. So this was all about the Sapta Chakras, the seven chakras, and what happens to the Devi's form uh, as the energies rise particular milestones. No other questions? Okay, let's continue. Any questions?
Just feel like going on listening to so many details.
Truly.
So wonderful. Thank you so much. You must have done so much research to tell us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be able to have this opportunity to share and talk about this. As,
So once more and make a table. So beautiful.
surely. I mean, I have recorded this video, so you can look up the 17th recording. It will be the 17th video on the YouTube channel. Please do go through it. Thanks.
Very interesting. Extremely interesting.
Thank you. Very much.
Thank you. It's very informative also. This information definitely, at least I was not aware of all this information. So yeah, very new, very novel for us. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much for this information, honestly. I mean, so much information. I mean, how much we are digesting, at least I am digesting, I don't know, but at least it's a lot of information which I can look for once this gets over properly. I can look for those videos and then try to understand more.
Truly correct. Thank you. Astu. Punyakirtif punyalap. Okay, let me reshare the screen. Back to the shlokas. पुण्यकीर्तिः पुण्यलभ्या पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना पुलोमजार्चिता बंधमोचनी बंधुरालका. She is Punyakirti. Her Kirti is all good. She is not infamous, she is only famous. Punyakirtihi Punyalabhya. She can be obtained by doing loads of Punya. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Even just listening to her Kirtana is Punya in itself. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Kirtana means praising and eulogizing her. Puloma Jarchita. Pulomaja, I am not really sure what it means. I'll get back to you about this. Abandha Mochani, she destroys all shackles. She frees us from all shackles around us, specifically karma and samsara. Bandha Mochani. Bandhuralaka, she is Bandhu. She is our dearest relative. One other person was remarking how, as we age, right? So we are in a delusion that we have people around us. But only when circumstances and calamities strike us do we actually know uh, that actually we were always and we are and we shall ever remain alone. So the only true relative is Bandhava Shiva Bhaktaha. So those who are God's devotees only can be considered as our relatives. Bandhu, she is our dearest relative. Bandhu. Alaka is one who is. So the literal meaning of Alaka is one who is mad. Alarka or Alaka means one who is mad. Here, alaka, it doesn't literally mean mad, but one who is very intoxicated in a trance. Bandhur alaka. It can also mean one who is. So if you break the word as bandhuhu and alaka, then this is the meaning you'll get. But if you consider it to be a single word, bandhur alaka means one who creates the row of bandhus, one who creates community, one who creates and fosters community building is called bandhur alaka. And that is also another function of the feminine. The feminine, wherever it is, be it as females or feminine qualities in men also, the first thing they'll do is create a stable environment, host people, uh, build a community, be in harmony with each other, and there is always an exchange of things. The masculine quality does not approve of that. So the masculine traits are always of independence, self-dependence, and kind of isolation. But the feminine traits always prefer a stable environment, which creates an ambience for exchange of things, of feelings, of emotions, and of energies between entities. That is Bandhuralaka. Vimarsha Rupini, she is the form of Vimarsha. Vimarsha means inquiry, of consideration. She is not just a commandment. She is that part of her brain which makes us think, to reconsider, consider, deliberate on a particular issue. Vimarsha Rupini. Vidya, she is knowledge. Vyad Adi Jagat Prasuhu. She is the Prasu, means the mother for Jagat, for the entire world. And this Jagat, which is made up of what? Vyat Adi. Vyat means Akasha. Vyad Adi means the world which is made of the five elements: Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi. These five states of matter, actually. They're not, we should not actually be calling them or interpreting them as just mere elements, but the states of matter, this entire world which is made of such uh, states of matter, she is the Janani, Prasu, the mother to them. Sarva Vyadhi Prashamani, she cures and treats all illnesses. Even today's research tells us that the medicine is only half effective. The other half of its effectiveness comes from the mind having an effect called as the placebo effect, where it actually thinks and believes in the power of the medicine. If it does not believe in the power of the medicine, even if it is truly in reality the proper chemical required to cure it, the medicine becomes less effective. And science is still yet to answer why that is the case, because science always thinks of it as an objective reality, right? So it doesn't consider the mind to have any power over the body. So then if I inject the body, or may force a pill down its mouth, it should work, but it doesn't work. So there are still questions about this. And she is that belief, she is that power behind that belief which causes the medicine to be effective, and she's also the medicine itself too. And thus she is the panacea to all diseases. Sarva Vyadhi Prashamani, Sarva Mrityu Nivarini. In fact, to add to this point of Sarva Vyadhi Prashamani, many sages, many, even till date, the Himalayan yogis and the yoginis, they hardly ever visit a hospital. Of course, they can't even afford one, is a different question. But they try to, even if they are gravely injured, or they are suffering some chronic or internal illnesses, still by the sheer power of their willpower and mind itself, they are able to cure it to a very great degree. About 60 to 70% of the disease gets cured just by their own manashakti. And then, of course, they'll also have to take some supplementary medicines or some herbs, some honey, or some other home remedies they also do to cure it from externally. Sarva Mrityu Nivarini. She also cures all mrityus. The power of curing and bringing back a person from the dead, called the Mrita Sanjeevani Vidya, was first given by Lalita or Parvati to Shiva himself. Mrita Sanjeevani Vidya. Because there is this very famous story of how Shiva kills off his own son Ganesha in a fit of rage because he didn't allow him to enter his own home, his own palace. Then Parvati comes out and she is shocked. She laments and she vows that she will destroy the entire world if her son is not brought back to life. And then Shiva says, how can I do that? I'm a destroyer. I can't even create. My role is to destroy. You should be asking Brahma to create back a life for him. But then Brahma refuses. He says, I cannot create something which has touched the Trishula of the great destroyer. Once it is touched, it is destroyed forever. So I cannot do this. And then she thinks of she herself preaches the Mrita Sanjeevani Vidya, and then commands one of the Ganas to go and get the head of some elephant or something, and so the story continues. Basically, after he brings the head and puts it on the body, the dead body of the erstwhile Ganesha, this mantra which she chants is what brings it back to life. So Sarva Mrityu Nivarini, this story is just one example to show she can bring back the dead too. Agraganya Achintya Rupa Kalikalmasha Nashini. Agraganya, the foremost to be counted amongst all devatas, Agraganya. Achintya Rupa, Achintya Rupa, she is of a form which is beyond thought, which cannot be contemplated on. Though we have said she is Sindura, Aruna Vigraham and all that, her true form, her true unmanifest nature is beyond the mind. Manovacham agochara, therefore achintya rupa. Kalikalmasha nashini. She is the Devi, the guardian, the Devata for the Kali Yuga, who can wash us of our kalmasha, of all the impurities, of all the evil, the corruption and the misuse of power and the abuse of power in today's world. She can remove it. Katyayani, she was the daughter of a sage called Katyayana or Kata. The actual sage name is Kata, from which comes the word Katyayani, means one who was born either as the daughter or as the lineage daughter. Apatyam Stri athava Gotra Apatyam Stri of the Kata lineage, of the Kata Kula. She's called Katyayani, and who was basically Sati. Katyayani is called Sati. Kalahantri, she destroys time, she destroys Mrityu, she destroys death itself, so called Kalahantri. Kamalaksha Nishevita, she is worshipped by Kamalaksha. Who is Kamalaksha? The person who has Kamala as his eyes. Who is that?
Vishnu.
Vishnu, correct. Kamalaksha Nishevita, she is worshipped by Vishnu, just as a brother would worship a sister. She is worshipped that way. Tambula Purita Mukhi Dadimi Kusuma Prabha. And when she is chewing on the tambula, she is chewing on the pan in her mouth, and she loves eating a lot of it. Dadimi Kusuma Prabha, that red tinge which comes to the mouth and to her tongue, and the chewed leaves which have turned red is spotted in her teeth, in her jaw, like the Dadimi Kusuma, like the flowers of the pomegranate tree, or in fact, you can think of them as the actual fruit of pomegranate itself. Just as the pomegranate has white seeds and surrounded by a fleshy red fruit. So that is how beautifully her mouth looks. Mrigakshi Mohini Mukhya Mridani Mitra Rupini. She is Mrigakshi. Her eyes are very chanchala, like a mriga, like a deer. Have you seen deer? At least on television, we would have seen how the deer, even while it is chewing or on some grass, its eyes are always flickering. It's looking out for, predators. It's very frightened. Though she is not frightened, and she is looking. Her eyes are flickering only because out of concern. She's looking at this bhakta, that bhakta, and so on. So Mrigakshi, Mohini, who charms, who seduces. She who seduces, and she's also the form of Mohini itself, the avatar of Vishnu. In fact, Vishnu, during that incident of Amrita Manthana, when he wanted to take on the form of a Mohini, he first is said to have prayed to Lalita Tripura Sundari to bestow upon him a feminine form, and that came from her. Mohini, Mukhya, the most important of all of our lives, the most important purpose, the most important person, most important thing, Mukhya, Mridani, the wife of Mrida of Shiva, Mitra Rupini. She is uh, the form of sun, Mitra Rupini, and also the form of our friend. Our closest friend is Mitra, because we always confide and confess all our goods and bads uh, to our mothers, and we consider, even the mother considers the children as her friends, and so do the children. So within, as friends, she is the Jagan Mata, and she's also the Jagan Mitra. Let's stop here. 114. We'll start with 115 from tomorrow. Any questions or inputs, insights you want to share? Feel free to do so.
धन्यवादः अनेके
धन्यवादः. अस्तु, नमस्ते. श्वः मिलामः.
धन्यवादः
धन्यवादः.
धन्यवादः
धन्यवादः.